What's the most shocking thing you discovered about your teenager that completely changed how you saw them? I thought I knew my 17-year-old son Marcus pretty well. Quiet kid, decent grades, spent most of his time in his room playing video games or doing homework. Never gave us any trouble. Unlike his older sister, who had her rebellious streak, Marcus was the easy one. The one we never worried about. That changed on a Tuesday morning when I got a call from his school counselor. Mrs. Rodriguez, we need to discuss Marcus's attendance. He's missed 23 days this semester. I stared at the calendar, sure there was a mistake. Marcus left every morning at 7:30, backpack slung over his shoulder, mumbling his usual, "Bye, Mom," as he headed out the door. There must be some error, I told the counselor. He's barely missed a day. We've marked him absent from first period nearly every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday since October. I hung up in disbelief. Where was my son going instead of school? I couldn't imagine Marcus skipping class. He was always anxious about grades in college. That afternoon, I called in sick and waited in my car down the street from our house. At 7:30, Marcus walked out like clockwork, but instead of heading to the bus stop, he walked to a coffee shop. Minutes later, he came out with a girl I didn't recognize. They walked together to a small apartment complex nearby. She used a key to let them into Unit 2B. I sat outside for 2 hours, stunned. That evening, I did something I swore I'd never do. I searched his room. Under his mattress, I found a notebook filled with names, times, and dollar amounts. $40, Mrs. Chin, 2 hours. $60, Mr. Davidson, 3 hours. In his sock drawer, I found over $800 in cash and a stack of business cards that read, Marcus Rodriguez, Home Helper Services. I called the first number in the notebook. An elderly woman answered. Oh, Marcus? Such a sweet boy. He's been helping me since my hip surgery, shopping, cleaning, even organizing my medications. 3 more calls told the same story. Marcus had quietly started a business helping elderly neighbors with daily tasks. The girl I saw was his friend and informal business partner, connecting him with people like her grandmother who needed help. And he'd been doing this for 6 months, during school hours, because that's when his clients were available. That night, when Marcus got home, I was waiting at the kitchen table with his notebook open. His face went pale. Mom, I can explain. You'd better. He told me everything. It started when he helped Mrs. Chun carry groceries home one afternoon. She offered to pay, and mentioned her friend Mrs. Patterson needed help, too. Word spread, and before long, Marcus had 8 clients. I wanted to surprise you and Dad, he said, eyes filling with tears. Since Dad got laid off, things have been tight. I thought if I saved for college myself, it would help. He'd been skipping only free periods and study halls, and doing homework at clients' homes. He'd saved over $2,400 so far, and had plans to expand over summer. I was torn between pride and frustration. He'd lied, but he'd also shown maturity and compassion I hadn't seen before. The next day, I drove Marcus to school, and we met with the counselor and his teachers. Once they heard the full story, they were surprisingly supportive. They helped arrange an independent study program so Marcus could continue his work 3 days a week, provided he kept his grades up. His teachers were impressed. His English teacher asked him to write about his experiences for a class project on community service. His economics teacher invited him to present on small business development. 6 months later, Marcus graduated as valedictorian. In his speech, he spoke about how the most meaningful lessons often happen outside the classroom. He talked about learning, responsibility, empathy, and hard work, lessons taught by the elderly clients he'd come to care for deeply. Mrs. Chin was there, beaming with pride. So were 5 of his other clients. They told me how Marcus had brought joy and security back into their lives. One even called him the grandson I never had. Today, Marcus is a sophomore studying business administration. He still helps clients over breaks, and he started a nonprofit matching college students with seniors who need assistance. I used to think I knew everything about my quiet, video game playing son, but I was wrong. The most shocking thing wasn't that he lied, it was that I hadn't seen just how extraordinary he really was.